What is happening, people? And welcome back to In the End Zone UK. Thank you for joining our American football podcast. I'm your host, Dom, and let me introduce the other half of the In the End Zone UK team. Across the mic, my co-host. He's big, he's bad, he's ugly. It's Big Dave. How's it going, Dave?
All right, Dave?
Yeah, all good. Apart from the insult. We're all good. Yeah.
Start the pod with an
all
insult,
good.
why not?
Yeah, free agency's underway. Giants have made some moves.
Making
Seahawks
moves.
have made some moves.
Making moves.
One team's going forward, the other one's going backwards.
We really are. We really are. Yeah, there's so much to talk about. I don't actually know where to start. Loads of news to bring our listeners from the last week or so in the NFL. This week, Dave, I am calling our episode Free Agency Frenzy. That is the sort of slogan of the NFL at the moment. It is a frenzy in terms of what's going on. Our last podcast that we did just over a week ago, we talked about players that were entering the free agency. We talked about potential trade options, and we spoke about the blockbuster trade of Russell Wilson from the Seattle Seahawks to the Denver Broncos. And we thought that that might be the biggest news or the biggest trade of the season. And maybe it was, but a few teams this week have said, hold my beer. And that is exactly what I want to talk about. I want us to cover the biggest signing, the biggest trades later in the podcast. But right now, I want to talk about maybe the second biggest topic of this free agency frenzy. And that is Deshaun Watson, quarterback of the Houston Texans, was traded to the Cleveland Browns. What on earth? Did you see that coming, Dave?
Nope. I know they were one of the finalists, but then I think it got down to the Falcons or the Saints. And he's from Atlanta, isn't he? So that's why everyone thought that. And apparently they had every man and his dog lined up. Terran Armstead to come to the Falcons. I don't even know what else was there. There was.
I think they had Landry on the
Leonard Fournette, Landry. These people were all queuing up, waiting for Deshaun Watson to go to Atlanta, and then the Browns come in with their fully guaranteed contract, and that seals the deal.
Nuts, isn't it though? Like before that week, before Deshaun Watson was, for the listeners who do or don't know, Deshaun Watson's been under legal investigation for numerous allegations into sexual misconduct and assault for massage or masseuses that he has paid for their services.
Oh, my God!
Over the last couple of years, and he's not been able to play football for the last year because he's been under these investigations, and he was cleared of criminal charges only just about a week and a half ago, ironically, just before the free agency window opened up. Good timing for him. And he was definitely not going to be going back to the Texans. He stated that. But prior to this week opening up, the Browns, Cleveland, they would have never been on the table for me. I mean, you would have spoke about the potential, but I never thought it'd be a reality.
No, I thought it'd have gone to this. I mean, I thought the best fit was the Saints, but just because they got the team ready to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's a strange one. The Browns, it instantly catapults them to being one of the best teams in the AFC.
It does.
If he can play to the standard that he's capable of, he's certainly top 10 quarterback in the league.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be very interesting to see what they can put together. He's a huge upgrade over Baker Mayfield.
Oh, massive! Yeah, there's no two ways about it. He's a far superior quarterback. But I want to ask you sort of where you sit on the spectrum of this. I've got a feeling I know where you sit on it, but for me, I'm not too sure how I feel about this move by the Browns, and that's because. Okay, I'll tell you how it makes me feel. So the Cleveland Browns have been absolute turbo turd. They've been the absolute asshole of the NFL for what? How many years? Up until maybe 2 years ago? 15, 20 years? They've just been...
longer than
they have
30
sucked.
years, yeah.
You know, they've been one of the few teams that's gone winless in a season. They've been dog awful, dog pound awful. See what I did there? And they have recently clawed their way back into the mix. You know, they made the playoffs last year. They've acquired amazing players. They've built this team from the ground up, and they brought in Baker Mayfield, who was, you know, a potential savior, and that's a massive hyphenated savior of the Browns. For me, yes, you go out and get Deshaun Watson because he's a huge upgrade on what you've got. And if you want to win games, you win games. But for me, the Cleveland Browns feel like they've kind of sold out against their ethos about how they were trying to like sort of rise up. And I wanted the Browns to do well, you know. Right now, having seen them acquire Deshaun Watson, I kind of don't feel that way. I kind of feel like you've mortgaged your next 3 years first round picks in addition to other picks. You've binned off your starting quarterback, who is garbage. You know, he's not the worst in the NFL, but he's not great. So just to acquire this one man who you assume is going to transform your franchise. And for me, I'm just saying, I think that takes away some of the magic that the Browns were kind of creating for me. And so I'm going to be less impressed and less sort of on the Browns side as underdogs or as, you know, whatever it might be, teams that turn it around. I'm kind of just going to be like, well, yeah, you've turned it around because you managed to give Deshaun Watson $240 million guaranteed money, irrespective of the charges that he's got, irrespective of how many games he might be suspended for next season. I'm not saying it doesn't sit well with me, because if the Seahawks had took him, I'd be buzzing. But I don't know. I feel like it takes away some of the magic from the Browns.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, but I don't care enough about the Browns to be bothered. I mean, if it was in the NFC, I think it'd be a little bit different. But the fact is, AFC. They've gave 3 first-round picks for him, was it?
Yeah, so it's a package of 5 or 6 picks now. I think one of them changed the other day from a 6th to a 4th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something like a first and a second this year, first and a third next year, first and a fourth year after, something like that. Yeah. I don't know. They've got, look at the team. So they've got Deshaun Watson at quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Chubb. Kareem Hunt.
The best running pair duo in the NFL.
What wide receivers just gone there?
Amari Cooper.
They've got rid of Austin Hooper, and Joku's gone, and
But Joku's still there. They tagged him.
Oh, did they? So he's still there. And then the defense is solid. They've got an absolutely staunch team. I think they're going to go from. I can't see them not winning that division comfortably. Because the Steelers going to have a quarterback?
Yeah, nobody good.
Dwayne
They've got
Haskins.
Trubisky.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be them and the Bengals, isn't it?
Or the Ravens, perhaps, if Lamar's healthy. It's a pretty competitive
I
division.
think he's so much better than
Lamar Jackson.
So I don't know. It's going to be a tough one, isn't it? But
it's a pretty stacked division.
Them and the Bengals.
It's a pretty stacked division when you start to put that on paper. You know, when you I didn't really think about it, but when you start to look at it, you think, yeah, you've got Joe Burrow. You've got Lamar Jackson, 2 years removed from an MVP. You've got now Deshaun Watson and the Browns team that is stacked, and then you've got the poor Steelers, you know, like rolling up in the back.
But they always seem to be able to, get a winning season. It's crazy.
The AFC is stacked, and
ridiculous. Yeah.
So it's a horrible place to be. That's why I'm kind of surprised he went there, just because he had other options on the table where he could probably be the dominant quarterback in that division or in that conference for the next 10 years. You know, like Russ has moved over to the AFC. You've only got the 2 goats in Brady and Rodgers in the NFC that are worth anything, and they're both old as fuck. So Yeah, so I mean that's the main one to talk about, and like you said, there's a fair few picks involved, but the Browns team is stacked, but they need to win. By doing this and leaving Baker Mayfield, in the trash where he probably belongs, they need to now make this count, because if Deshaun Watson comes in and they still lose and they don't make the playoffs and they've mortgaged their picks, they're going to look foolish. So
yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Off the back of that, just a real quick segue into the fact that Baker Mayfield's now teamless, or he's at the Browns, but they've got now 2 quarterbacks ahead of him. What's the crack with him? What do you think happens with him? Do you think he gets a starting job, or he backs someone up?
I don't know. I mean, you're a candidate for him.
Seahawks.
I don't know what you'd have to give up for him. Maybe a third, fourth round pick.
I'd give a third for him and be okay with it.
Fucking trash. I would 100% rather have Drew Lock.
Would you?
Because at least Drew Lock can throw the ball down the field, because Baker can't do that.
I don't know. If Seahawks is a potential landing spot for him, what I would say is I would take him only because there's not a clear disparity between him and Drew Lock.
No, you'd put them two together and be like, fight for it.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. And if you could get him for a third, it's probably worth doing that. It wouldn't be worth doing it for a second. No. But if you could get him for a 3rd round pick, it would be worth saying, Baker, come to Seattle and win this job if you think that you've got it in you.
Yeah.
For a year.
I'm trying to think where else. The Texans obviously didn't want him.
No. Falcons, maybe? The fact that they've now only got Marcus Mariota. Who would you rather have?
I think Mariota,
Would you? I don't think I would.
He can move though, can't he? At least he's mobile.
Yeah. Outside of that, there's not many starting positions for him. I just wondered if you thought there was a clear-cut place, but legit, the clear-cut place seems Seattle, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Washington, maybe, if they're not clear on Wentz. He's better than Wentz. I'd rather have him than Carson Wentz, wouldn't you?
No, I don't think so.
No?
I think Wentz.
I would.
I think Wentz has probably got more upside. When Wentz is good, he's far better than Baker will ever be. But the thing is that Wentz can be so bad sometimes.
Yeah. Anyway, I just thought whilst we were on the topic of Baker Mayfield, we'd put him where he needs to be, and that looks like it's at Seattle.
Yeah, we'll find out soon.
Indeed. The next humongous trade in the NFL over this last week or so was to the Vegas Raiders, Devontae, and we kind of not necessarily predicted the move, but we did say that with Aaron Rodgers being paid absolute buck, that they might struggle to pay Devontae Adams. And it's not all about the money, apparently, according to Devontae Adams, but he has now been traded to the Vegas Raiders for a 1st and a 2nd round pick, which for me is a steal for him. The best receiver in the NFL. 1 1st round pick, 1 second. It's a steal. Raiders have got a number 1 receiver 10 times over for the next 3-4 years.
Yeah. I mean, you can. So when the Packers tagged him, they tagged him with the tag that meant another team could offer him a contract. But the Raiders made an contract offer to him, the Packers then have the opportunity to match it.
Yeah.
And if they match it, he has to stay with them.
Yeah.
So they offered him more money than the Raiders were going to give him, but still let him walk.
Yeah. I think he said he still wouldn't play, didn't he?
Yeah. And when Rodgers was going through his contract negotiations, he knew all along that Devontae Adams wasn't coming back. Devontae had already told him he weren't playing for him.
That's interesting.
So that's great. I mean, he's him and Derek Carr are like best mates.
Yeah. He's got a house in Las Vegas, and he played with him at, what was the college? I can't remember.
Yeah, but apparently they're like genuine friends where like they message outside of work and stuff like that.
Yeah. I was watching the NFL Network when just after the trade happened, actually, just by chance, and Derek Carr's brother was on David Carr, and he got a phone call from Devontae Adams on his phone. It was a FaceTime, and he answered it on live. So obviously that's how good mates him and Derek Carr must be, because he's mates with his brother. So
yeah,
and apparently they've got a good connection. They played together at college. It's one of those where they're not going to have the same connection that Rodgers has, because Derek Carr isn't Rodgers. But
no.
if he's going to go somewhere where he's even got some affiliation, that could be dangerous for the for the AFC West and Derek Carr.
Yeah, and who the fuck doesn't want to live in Vegas?
Yeah, true.
He gets to live in Vegas, play inside a dome. The weather's fucking nice.
Mm.
He's not got a diva quarterback.
Mm.
What's not to like about that?
Yeah, and now look
at the weapons Derek Carr's got.
Unreal.
Derek Carr's got Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfro, who's like a poor man's Devontae Adams. Probably one of the best tight ends in football when he's healthy, Darren Waller.
Yeah. Josh Jacobs in the backfield.
Yeah.
Yeah,
their team's all right.
It's a staunch team, that is, for the NFC West. Staunch. I mean, yeah. So I'm not sure what it works out to be in terms of what Devontae's actual money.
It's like 28 million a year.
Christ, for a receiver.
By far and away the highest paid receiver, yeah. By far and away the highest paid receiver.
Wow. That's next level. So Devontae moved, and as we said before, if paying Rodgers meant that you jeopardise paying Devontae Adams, and maybe it did, because yes, okay, Devontae wants to go play with his mate in Vegas, but maybe if the Packers had have had the money ready and raring to go and not tagged him in the initial circumstance and gone, Devontae, you're our bloke, here is the highest paid money in football for a wide receiver, he might have gone, oh, sound, I like that, that's my worth.
Let his contract run out. Like, you don't let the best player at a certain position, you don't let their contract run out.
That's a good point.
You secure that bloke to that thing, so your quarterback has got the best receiver in the game.
Yeah, that's a good
point. You don't let these guys receive. If you let the contract run out, guess what? You open yourself up to stuff like this happening.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right, and that's what we said, is that by paying Rodgers, if it's that much money and jeopardising Devontae, it's a potential grey area of a move for the Packers, and so we'll really, really see what Rodgers is made of this year when he doesn't have any of his weapons. And I spoke to a couple of Packers fans, Chris, Zach and Cam. And Cam was very, very quick to say, well, we've done it without Rodgers, without Devontae for, 6-7 games last year. And it's true, but you try and go down the stretch into the playoffs without a player like that.
I think they're like 9-1 over 10 games without Devontae Adams. So they do all right, but we'll see. I hope they spank in so hard.
Same, I do. Whilst we're on trades, there was an even more recent one. So last week we did cover the Russell Wilson trade, Carson Wentz. We've touched on the fact that Amari Cooper moved from the Cowboys to the Browns. And last week we also did some instant reporting, breaking news on Khalil Mack going from Chicago to the LA Chargers. But we've also had Matt Ryan, Matty Ice, the Iceman
Iceman
to Indianapolis. And that is an amazing spot for him. I'm buzzing for the Colts.
Perfect for him. Can you imagine him behind a good O-line with a good running back?
Yeah.
He's going to be absolutely fine there.
He's going to be buzzing his tits off is what he's going to be.
And what do they get? What do the Falcons get? What do they get for him? What was the compensation?
They get, the Falcons got a 3rd round pick that could become a 2nd depending on what he plays.
Yeah.
Which is, for Matty Ice, yeah, okay.
That's a win for them.
He's old, but if the Colts can just bolster themselves at wide receiver a little bit, whether it's in the draft or whether they can pick up, You know, they've got loads of money, whether they could pick up a Jarvis Landry or an Odell, something like that, then Matty Ice he's going to love his time in Indianapolis, and that immediately makes them loads better, and that immediately takes the Colts to the playoffs in their division, I think.
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
So, amazing move. Kind of amazing move for both teams, but I don't like it for the Falcons in the fact that they have had to swallow the most caps. They took the biggest cap hit in NFL history. They've had to take a hit of $42 million to get rid of Matty Ice.
Yeah, but he gets rid of his contract. That's only this year, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
next year and the year after, they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
So they're out from under his contract. They're going to get a second round pick because he's going to play all the games.
Yeah.
And with Marcus Mariota, they're going to have a lowish first round pick next year in the draft. So they'll be able to get their quarterback. And this leads perfectly on to the draft and how this is going to benefit the Giants massively.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, because there's going to be so many teams now that will want to move up and take a quarterback, I think.
Right. So you might end up trading away your fifth or your seventh.
The Falcons might want to move up and take one of the two quarterbacks. The Texans might be looking to take a quarterback.
Yeah.
It opens it up. You guys might want to take a quarterback. So it makes things competitive now, where if you guys are thinking we want Malik Willis, you might have to jump to 5.
Yeah.
Trade with the Giants, for example, to get your bloke. Do you know what I mean? It opens the door massively for us.
That is a good shout. That is a good shout. And yeah, as Giants fans, you probably be sat there rubbing your hands together, being able to steal everybody's first round pick so that they can move up and take a Bobby average quarterback. But that might absolutely be the way. And to be honest, from a Seahawks perspective, you know, there's a few options, and if you do go out and get Baker Mayfield and give him a prove-it year, maybe you don't have to pull the trigger on a quarterback this year.
Hey Terry, I did my first test bomb.
And I wouldn't. That's what I'd rather us do. I would rather either roll with Drew Lock or take Baker for a third, and just see what you've got there and go up and get, you know, your Sauce Gardner cornerback or something like that, a lockdown corner to bolster your defense. But the Falcons, they're in a shit state. Their team is garbage on paper. How bad is that? You tell me a good player that plays for the Falcons apart from Kyle Pitts.
That corner. They've got a corner that's really good.
Oh, is it AJ Terrell?
Yeah, he was the best corner. He was good. So they've got like 2 pieces.
Yeah, so
re-signed Cordero Patterson.
Yeah, he's old though. Or older.
He is. He's good though, isn't he? For what he is, for what he does, he's good. I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah, but what I mean is, like, Falcons, they haven't got a great O-line. They've got no running backs. They've got no linebackers. They've got one good corner. Got no safeties. They've got no receivers. They're in disarray.
Yeah, their team went from what could be with Deshaun Watson and all these players that wanted to come play, this phenomenally rebuilt in a second team, to losing your starting quarterback and just being shit.
Yeah, you got to be fuming if you live in Atlanta. Can't be happy.
Yeah.
Can't be happy. So yeah, I mean, other notable trades outside of Matt Ryan, the Tennessee Titans signed Robert Woods from the Rams, which makes a bit of sense, and the Indianapolis Colts again making moves, took Yannick Ngakoue. And they sent a defensive back, Rock Ya-Sin, to Vegas, which I think works for both teams. But Ngakoue on that defensive line with DeForest Buckner at the Colts makes their defense even more savage, and they're gonna have a staunch team.
Yeah, did I see Zadarius Smith's gone to the Vikings?
Bum 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 bum! Breaking news! Bum 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 bum!
Is it?
Yeah, it's just
I don't know how breaking it is.
Nice one.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, literally
I must have just
tonight.
seen it before.
So that one's not a trade.
I stole your thunder there.
No, you're good. I guess we'll slip this in before we go into the signs, but as part of the breaking news in the End Zone UK, Zadarius Smith, who had signed initially to the Ravens, declined the offer from the Ravens in free agency and went back into the pool and has now been paid slightly more by the Minnesota Vikings. And that is a hell of a pickup for the Vikings.
Yeah.
Amazing. Such a good player in Zadarius Smith to just sit on the other side of the defensive line to Daniil Hunter. God damn, that's going to be horrid. And I can't wait to watch them crawl all over Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
So
He's
yeah,
going to be up for that game as well, isn't he?
100% is he going to be up for that game. All of the reasons why the Packers didn't pay him and then cut him, he's going to want to tear them to bits. So there was no real other notable trades. So that is our trade section done. A few players have been swapped around, but they're not worth talking about. So now, Dave, let's talk what the free agency is basically all about, and that is NFL signings. So when free agency lit up last week, we did a podcast just before it, and it kicked off and it went hard, super hard, and we tried to stay on top of it. If you follow us on Instagram, which you should, if you don't already, go out and get on Instagram and follow In the End Zone UK. But we reported all of these signings as they happened on our Instagram page, and weirdly, the first signing that we reported, Dave, was the Mitch Trubisky signing going to the Steelers. That was one of the first moves made in free agency, which is a really strange one considering what then ensued after. But really quick, Trubisky, do you think that's just an insurance policy for the Steelers, or do you think that they think he's their man?
I think they're just they'll see. Do you know what I mean? They'll give him a year, see what he's like.
Yeah.
But this is his probably last shot in it to be a starting quarterback, I imagine.
Do you think the Steelers are better this year under Trubisky than they were Big Ben, or do you think they're worse?
I think he can do more than Big Ben can at this. Ben couldn't move, and his arm had just like fucking flopped away in it. So I think Trubisky at least is a mobile quarterback. He can run around. He can make some throws.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's definitely better than he's better than Mason Rudolph. He's better than Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah.
So he's an improvement over what they've got.
Right. So the upside is Mitchell Trubisky, which basically makes the Steelers even more playoff bound because they almost always are. So
yeah.
Okay. And then we won't delve into these too much, but we had Chase Edmonds going to the Dolphins from the Cardinals where he was before. As a quick Seattle Seahawks update, we re-signed Quandre Diggs, our free safety, to a big deal. And that was worthwhile. One of the best free safeties out on the market in free agency, arguably the best. And we locked him down to a big deal, which means that we keep Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs in the backfield for another year. I was happy about that. Does it make the Seahawks any better? No, because we had him last year, but it was good to get that signing in. James Conner agreed to come back to the Cardinals, and Emmanuel Ogbah went to the Dolphins, and that was just another re-signing. So that was the first phase of free agency, and then things started to spice up. J.C. Jackson going to the Chargers. The best cornerback in the free agency pool. He's gone to the Chargers alongside Khalil Mack that we reported on last week. What does that do for the Chargers, Dave?
Well, their defense was what let them down last year, so it shores up their secondary. Who else have they got in the back four? They've got is Derwin James still there?
Derwin James, yeah.
Who's the other corner?
I'm not sure. They did have Casey Hayward, but he's moved on. So J.C. Jackson is now their definite number one. But if you put him on one side and lock that down with Derwin James on the other side in safety mode, and Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa up front,
it's just going to put pressure on it because when the quarterback's got less time to throw your corners don't have to be as great.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've not got to stick in like man-to-man coverage or cover the zone for as long as possible, because the quarterback's got less time to throw the ball, so the receiver's got less time to get downfield, blah blah blah. So yeah, I think it's a I mean, he'd have been a great signing for anybody.
Oh, of course, yeah. The fact that he's gone to the Chargers into that AFC West that seems to, as we get on through some of these, the AFC West has just turned into an absolute animal. It is by far the best division in football, by far now the best division in football. Devontae Adams has gone to the AFC West. Russell Wilson's gone to the AFC West. JC Jackson, Khalil Mack. You can keep adding to it, you know. So JC Jackson, most interceptions in football since he entered the league, has gone to the Chargers. This one was one that was a little bit frustrating for you, I think, in the fact that Eagles always seem to find a way to get pass rush. They signed Hassan Reddick from what formerly was the Panthers. That plugs a hole for them, I think, and they've managed to bring Fletcher Cox back on a restructured deal as well. So he'll be coming for Daniel Jones. That's all you know.
Need to make sure we've got a decent O-line then, don't we?
Looks like you do as well. In free agency, you picked up some. Christian Kirk going to the Jaguars on a huge deal in the NFL. Yeah. I thought that was a mistake, a trigger pulled once too early by the Jaguars. What do you reckon?
They've just spent a load of money, haven't they? Like, they've just spent all their money. They reminded me of what we did last off-season, where we went out, spent 21 million on Kenny Golladay, spent loads of money, spent basically too much money on players, because we were just trying to throw people. It was the GMs last year, the head coaches last year, they kind of saw the writing on the wall, so they tried to just splurge in free agency, to give them the quickest chance of success of winning.
Yeah.
Christian Kirk is not a 20 million. I mean, I think it's 19 million years getting
Yeah.
He's not a receiver that's worth that money. Not a chance. No. He's never had a 1,000-yard receiving season.
No, I agree. It seems like the Jaguars have made a lot of moves, like you say, and thrown money at what are, when you start to look at them as individuals, they were coming through thick and fast in free agency, a couple of days, and they'd signed 8 players, but they all seem to be Bobby average players. When you look at them individually, you've got Christian Kirk, and we'll talk about it now as well whilst we're on the Jaguars. Zay Jones from the Raiders, they're probably number 3 wide receiver in the scheme of things, has now gone to the Jaguars to change the game? Don't think so. Apparently, he's one of the hardest working players in football. He's the first in, last out, beats quarterbacks in, stays longer. But who cares? He's not that good a receiver. They've taken Evan Ingram from you guys.
Yeah.
Got, oil slicked hands, can't catch a ball.
Awful. I mean, I like Evan Ingram, and I hope that it works out for him, but he is the biggest waste of talent, I think, that people have seen. He was electric coming out of college. Just can't do it. When he gets the ball in the open field, he's unstoppable.
He's got to catch it first.
He can't catch it. He's the cause. He's the cause of 13 of Daniel Jones' interceptions from balls hitting his hands and going in the air.
Yeah. So that's not going to help against a young quarterback who's trying to find his feet in the NFL in Trevor Lawrence. Staying in New York with the Jets, they took CJ Uzomah off the hands of the Bengals, which I'm surprised they let happen, considering they've got loads of cash.
Very surprised that he's gone.
You're a fan of him, though, weren't you?
Yeah, he's good for them. He was. He had a good season.
Apparently a really good leader in the locker room as well, Uzomah, but the Bengals didn't sleep on it. They ended up going out and getting Hayden Hurst as a tight end to replace, who is also good.
Yeah, he's...
I think, I'm not sure who I'd rather have, but probably Uzomah, especially considering that he was a bit of a leader on their team going into the playoff stretch. Devondre Campbell, the Packers managed to bring him back, all-pro linebacker, and he's going back to the Packers. Is that a big deal?
No, I don't think so.
Not at all. Good. No, we don't need to talk about that. He's from the Packers, isn't he? Best free safety on the market. Sorry, who is he, free safety or strong safety? One of the best safeties on the market, Marcus Williams from the Saints, gone to the Ravens. Their secondary, if healthy, is now Dutty Wine.
It's disgusting, their secondary.
Marcus
They've got some
Peters.
absolute elite receiving corners. Can you say
Yeah.
that?
Ball
Like
hawks.
corners of hands.
Yeah. Marcus Peters, now Marcus Williams, Marlon Humphrey, you name it. All they need to do is sign the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, and that would be insane. Randy Gregory declined an offer from the Cowboys, pass rusher, to go back to the Cowboys for another year and got offered the same money at the Broncos and went there.
Yeah.
So that's an upgrade for the Broncos now that they're not bringing Von Miller back. And it's a nice little bookend, him and Bradley Chubb on either side. It's going to cause some carnage and wreck the NFC West as they need to, because Russell Wilson is going to need to get some help from his defense. Another huge signing for the the Vegas Raiders. Chandler Jones, one of the best pass rushers on the market, has now ended up in the AFC West. There's too many teams at the moment going through my head, but Chandler Jones to the Raiders. How much better does that make them?
How about Russ is snapped?
He's got to be, hasn't he?
Just got away from him.
Yeah, he'll be hunting him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good little addition to the team, isn't he?
Little. He's about 6'8".
The longest man in the world.
Yeah, he's definitely going to help the Raiders there. Him and Max Crosby on either side is going to be nice.
Yeah, because they let go of who's on the let go of the gay dude.
Cole Nassib.
Yeah, they let him go, didn't they?
Giants, Dave. They've signed Tyrod Taylor as a backup.
Yeah.
I like that move for you.
Yeah, I think we've probably gave him so much shit at the start of last season that now I have to take it back. I think he's a good person to sit behind Daniel Jones, because Daniel Jones is showing that he can't stay healthy. Yeah. And if Tyrod Taylor can probably come in, you've got more chance of him coming in and winning games than you have Glenn Mong. So.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah. He's way better than Mike Glennon.
He's a good backup. And if Daniel Jones isn't the one, then next season, Tyrod Taylor will probably start, and then whoever we draft will sit behind him for a year or half a year. I think he'd be a good guy to help bring on a quarterback. Did with Justin Herbert, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think it's a bad thing for you to have a player like that. A huge signing in the Bills Nation, Bills Mafia, in Von Miller. So he was more than likely either going back to the Broncos or the Rams. I thought that one of those was a done deal, and then all of a sudden, the Bills, Buffalo, a whisker away from a Super Bowl, not just in my opinion, but in real life, a whisker away from Super Bowl. And maybe Von Miller is the man that's going to help get them there. And they have paid him, weirdly, $120 million over 6 years, which would mean that he's still playing when he's 38, which ain't going to happen. It's an odd deal that they've given him, but I don't know. Why?
No idea.
Because you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. At
least he's a proven commodity, and he's got 2 Super Bowls now.
Yeah.
He's an outstanding pass rush, where he was back in the day. He obviously still got that juice to. Is it? I don't know, locker room guy.
Yeah.
You don't pay someone 120 million to be a locker room guy, though.
He's still got the sauce, hasn't he? Like he in the playoffs, I think he had 5 sacks in the playoffs alone, and then 1 or 2 sacks in the Super Bowl. So, you take that for sure.
Yeah, every day of the week.
Yeah, he's an animal, and the Titans released Julio Jones, who is yet to be picked up, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Probably in my eyes, this might be the best signing of free agency to secure wins. Matt Breida has gone to the Giants, and he is a sneaky good running back to have behind Barkley. But no, Allen Robinson, wide receiver, formerly at the Bears, absolute talent, has been signed by the LA Rams, the Super Bowl winning LA Rams, who already have Cooper Kupp, have signed Allen Robinson. I mean, to me, that's a dirty pick.
Yeah, because what does Matt Stafford? If you think about the receivers that Matt Stafford's had in his past, Megatron, Kenny Golladay, Robinson, they're all 6'4", like monster, like go up and get it physical downfield wide receivers.
Yeah.
He's gonna it's probably gonna turn Cooper Kupp more into like the Devontae Adams kind of. I don't know. It's going to be disgusting. They're going to be unbelievably disgusting together, them two.
They're going to complement each other really well, aren't they? Because they can both run routes, but you've got Cooper Kupp who can somehow get open, in a field full of men. It's not nice, and I think that's potentially the best signing of free agency almost.
Could be.
Not saying it's the best, but it's up there. Miles Jack was released by the Jaguars, which was mental, I thought. Why on earth do you release the player, ask the Seahawks, but why on earth do you release the player that leads your team in tackles, who's young and got shitloads of talent, only to let him go to yet another AFC team in the Steelers? Makes no sense. Raheem Mostert leaves the Niners and goes to the Dolphins, which I'm surprised about. And then
they needed a running back, though.
They did. That's true.
The Dolphins have struggled to find a running back.
That is true. And that immediately makes them better because Mostert's got some absolute toe on him. The guy is rapid, nearly as fast as me. And Chris Godwin got paid to go back and play with the man that we'll talk about at the end, the GOAT. We're coming towards the end of them, Dave, so don't worry. But there's just a few more that are worth talking about. Juju Smith-Schuster has gone to the Chiefs. Now, firstly, how fucking annoying does that make the Chiefs back office, locker room, pitch when you know that Juju's going to be TikToking with Mahomes' brother before every game, after every game? I'm a fan of the Chiefs, but that pisses me off already.
Mahomes needs to get a grip of both of them and be like, listen, you pair of fucking retards. If you're the cause of distraction, I'm just going to you're getting caught and I'm going to cut your head off.
That's genuinely what needs to be said by Mahomes.
He needs to grow a set, because he's married that retard of a missus he's got.
I know.
So he's fucking stuck with her now.
Mistake.
Yeah.
She's just inherited $250,000.
What an idiot. I better have signed a prenup.
I hope they have. Definitely should have. I've not got them all listed here, Dave, but what I am interested in, there's a couple more. Juju Smith-Schuster, Cordarrelle Patterson went back to the Falcons. Jameis Winston, the free agent quarterback, has now been picked up by the Saints. It's a good move for them. He played for them last year. He got injured. They were sort of up and down before he got injured, but they were winning some games. So from the Giants' perspective, I've only spoken about one player, but what are you most excited about, or what have you seen that excites you the most from the Giants' signings in free agency?
We basically took all the Bills, fringe players. So we took a good offensive lineman from the Colts. We've basically done what I wanted, the new management to do, which is just bolster the offensive line. I don't care if we use the 7th and 5th picks on offensive linemen. It's going to give Saquon Barkley the best chance. It's going to give Daniel Jones the best chance.
Yeah, definitely.
I want depth at the offensive line. They've done it. The Bills have got a stout offensive line. We've took some of their offensive linemen. The Colts have got the best offensive line in football. We've took one of their starting guards.
Yeah, that's a great shout. What's his name?
Yeah.
I've forgotten his name.
I can't remember his name.
But yeah,
But,
he's a beast.
yeah, we, yeah, Andrew Thomas was rated as the third best left tackle in football last year by PFF. So we've got the building block there. So if we take another tackle in the draft, and then you can just shore up the middle of the offensive line. I think it's gonna be the difference between winning 4 games last year and winning 7 or 8 this year. I mean, we're not going to be amazing. We're still going to be a bottom feeding team, which is fine. But as long as I can see when I'm watching every game that we're improving, that Daniel Jones ain't getting sacked 50 times a season. What more can you ask for, you know? So like, I'm happy with what we've done. We've picked up a good backup quarterback. We've picked up a good backup running back. So let's just see what happens, I think, and then.
Yeah, and you've not lost pieces either, which says a lot. You know, I think the fact that, you know, there was a potential that Saquon Barkley was going to go somewhere, but now instead you've shored up your offensive line to maybe make him a bit more effective, and you've brought back Sterling Shepard, who is a beast for you when he's healthy. You've got Kadarius Toney, who was again unhealthy, but could be amazing.
I mean, we've lost. Yeah, we've cut all our tight ends. We've not got a tight end.
Yeah.
Cut Logan Ryan, who then went and signed straight away with so they reckon that was like a deal.
Oh, okay.
Because it saved us like £700,000. It's not saved us anything, or $700,000. But the second we released him, he was signed by the Bucks.
Yeah.
So he's gone back to Tom Brady. But they reckon that might have been a kind of like a naughty deal that was done under the table.
Right.
Because he wasn't going to be getting the playing time that he probably required.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's gone to the Bucks. He'll start for the Bucks now.
Fair play.
But,
yeah.
no, we've had a far better. It's not been exciting. Like last season was exciting when we signed like bigger named players. But the fact that we've done the boring stuff is good.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for that as well, because I feel like, I mean, the Seahawks are in a very different position now that we don't have Russell Wilson, but the players that we have brought in this off season or brought back have made me feel pretty good about it. We haven't gone out and splashed huge amounts of large contracts on like aged players, you know, like the players that are only going to impact you for say 2 seasons, like your Von Millers and maybe your Chandler Joneses. We've not done that because that's not the position we're in. We've gone out and got like Nwosu from the Chargers, who's 25 years old and is like a bright spark, like pass rushing linebacker. We've gone and got the center from the Rams, who's really young. You know, we've gone and got, we've re-signed Rashard Penny, who's, you know, relatively young. We've re-signed.
That was good for you lot.
Yeah, we've re-signed Quandre Diggs, who's young and proven in the free safety position. We're rolling with some younger players. We've cut Bobby Wagner, you know, like who was an older linebacker. Not that I wanted to do that. I definitely didn't. We've got Noah Fant now in a tight end that's young and is a good pass catcher and a downfield threat. We've got DK, who's young. We've got Tyler Lockett, who's aging but not old. So we've got a young team that we can build around. It's just the problem is that when you're missing the most fundamental part of your team, it doesn't matter. You know, we've got garbage at quarterback and we need to address that. But it means we've got picks and we've got potential for the draft. So I'm feeling pretty optimistic about not this season coming, but I'm feeling pretty optimistic about the future of the Seahawks over the next couple of years. And as I said before, I'd be perfectly happy to take Baker Mayfield for a late round pick, let them contest, and actually leave the quarterback draft alone. Let the Texans and the Falcons fight over what is apparently a very average quarterback stock in the draft and see what happens there. So we shall see. Before we wrap this one up, Dave, I've got one more question for you. I've actually got about 10 more questions for you, but this is the remaining free agents that are available left in the pool. Things have quietened down now in the NFL. We are probably not going to see a lot of the big names get signed or major money be spent now before the draft. The draft is only about 3 or 4 weeks away. 4 weeks away. However, there are still some impact players out there and some names that could make some big changes to teams. And I think that either they'll get snapped up immediately after the draft, or we might just be waiting on some teams that are willing to pull that trigger. So I'm just going to go through real quick the top 10 free agents that are left on my list, and I want you to let me know where you think they should go. I might chip in with where they think they should go. So we'll start from the bottom. Number 10, Julio Jones, cut by the Tennessee Titans, an absolute animal in his day, one of the best receivers of all time, no doubt about it, but now he's old. Where would you send him? Where is a good fit for Julio Jones?
I think the Browns.
The Browns?
Yeah.
Yeah?
They've obviously lost Odell, they lost Jarvis Landry. They've gained Amari Cooper. But I just think an Amari Cooper, aging Julio Jones could be pretty naughty. The only other place I would say who are missing that are more receiving now is Green Bay.
Green Bay. Okay.
So the Packers, yeah.
That's not a bad shout. That's actually a really good shout. I've not thought about that, and I don't know why, but that makes a really, really good landing spot for Julio Jones. 4 years ago, if you'd have said that the Packers lost Devontae but they gained Julio Jones, you'd be like, yo, that's not a bad shout. The problem is that Julio has not been the same man he was 4 years ago, but maybe in the hands of Rodgers. Maybe.
Yeah. Or maybe, so I'm going to take the Browns out of it, and I would say I'd like to see him maybe at the Colts. Colts linking up with Matt Ryan again.
That would be nice. Love that.
At the Packers with Rodgers.
Bit of nostalgia, playing with Matty Ice again. Makes sense. Yeah, makes sense. Or at the Packers. Where I would send him, if they've got the money and whatever, just because of the division itself now being such a splash, I would send him to the Chiefs. If I was the Chiefs, I'd say, right, look, we've just gone out and got Juju at mega cash. We've now got Juju Smith-Schuster. He's small. He's a route runner. We've got Tyreek Hill. He's small. He's fast as fuck. He's a route runner. We've got whoever else they've got. And they've got Travis Kelce. But a big-bodied receiver that you play, maybe just in red zone sets or something like that, would be horrendous to try and cover Kelce, as well as Julio Jones and Tyreek and Juju doing a dance pre-snap. That would be tough to cover, and I think that in that NFC West, it's all about the power that to win that division. You're going to need offensive power. So I'd send him there. This one's a really boring one, so probably don't need to spend too much time on it. But they're very, very valuable. J.C. Tretter is a centre. He was at the Cleveland Browns, actually very good centre. Who needs one? And who's got the cash for one? It's a boring one, isn't it?
Centre. Maybe the Bucks. Did Jensen, where did he go back there?
I think they got him back. Yeah, I think they got him back.
If they didn't get him back, then there. Centre, I don't know.
It's boring.
I know we need a centre.
Yeah,
but
well, there you go. Giants.
It's not like you don't look at a team and go, fucking hell, their centre shit.
Not often. No. Giants is a shout though. I think.
No, I'd send him to the Bengals.
Okay. Even
Bengals
more fucking sauce on the offensive line.
Yeah,
that'd be nice.
Help.
Yeah. Okay. Edge rusher Trey Flowers. Where's he go? I know where I'd send him.
Trey Flowers not even that good, is he?
He's all right. I think in the right scheme he could be decent. That's where I'm sending him. I'd send him to the Niners.
Okay. Yeah, they need help. They've got a shit D-line, haven't they? They need help.
Only got Joey Bosa and frickin'
Armstead.
But I think he would fit in that line because Trey Flowers can actually play he can play outside as a defensive end, and he can play inside like as a pass rushing DT. Yeah, and I think that's what they like. So I don't know. I'd send him to the Niners. Why not? Fuck it. This one's a good one. You answered it last week. Maybe your answer will be the same. Maybe it's changed. Bobby Wagner.
Yeah, I think I'd still like to see him go back with Russ. Go to the Broncos.
Go to the Broncos.
Yeah.
I'd send him to the Colts.
Colts. They got Darius Leonard.
Darius Leonard, but he plays like a left outside linebacker generally.
Yeah,
so he plays just off the ball.
Need a middle linebacker.
Them two.
I mean, fucking hell,
disgusting.
Yeah. You wouldn't want to run it all, would you? You wouldn't want to be a running back.
No chance. So maybe to the Colts and maybe to Denver with Russ. Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger. Do you still think the Giants? That's what you said last week. And he's still not been picked up, which is madness, I think. Maybe he wants too much money.
Yeah, he's a dick, though, isn't he? That's the only reason I wouldn't want him at the Giants, because he's an absolute dick. But maybe if he was on your team, you wouldn't think he was a dick.
Yeah, he's like a Richard Sherman. He used to be an absolute cock, but I used to love him.
Yeah, who needs safety help? I mean, I do think he'd be perfect at the Giants, but
yeah. So I think what I said earlier, which was just off the cuff, would make a lot of sense. The Ravens. They would have an amazing secondary if he went there. And maybe, do you reckon the Buccaneers? Because they've just lost one of their safeties to...
yeah, they just picked Logan Ryan up there.
Oh, yeah, they did, yeah. Forgot about that.
I mean, why don't you go back to the Chiefs?
Yeah.
Sorensen's shit.
They've got Eric Reid, don't they? They just signed... Justin Reid. Eric Reid's younger brother, who is an animal.
Yeah, he's a strong safety, isn't he?
I'm not too sure.
Chargers, maybe, play him along. No, he's a strong. If they've got Derwin James, they don't need him.
Yeah. It's a bit of a difficult one. There's some boring picks which are dead easy because, like the Washington Windsox, aka Commanders, got rid of Landon Collins, but Honey Badger's got to go to a competitor. Surely you got to be going to the Bills don't need one. Browns might need one.
I don't know,
maybe that's why he's not been signed yet, because we're struggling to place him, so we can wait on that one. This one should be easy-ish. Stephon Gilmore, a lockdown cornerback who's getting a bit old. I said the Seahawks last time, but I actually don't want him now. I'd take him, but in terms of what our strategy is, we're not picking up aged players on big contracts. I think he needs to go to a competitor.
Chiefs.
Yeah.
Chiefs got shit corner. I think he said the Chiefs last time. I think Chiefs got shit corners.
Bills?
No, Bills got Jadavius White, Poyer. Their secondary is stout, the Bills.
Yeah.
Maybe Packers alongside
Jair Alexander. Yeah. Vikings is a shout because they need a corner.
Yeah, I mean, I'd just send him to the Ravens just to make theirs even more disgusting.
Yeah, overload. Real quick, Odell Beckham Jr.
Odell Beckham. I think I want to see him back at the Rams.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think where there's no pressure for him to come back, so he can literally rehab, get his injury sorted, then he comes back and he slots in behind Cooper Kupp and Robinson.
Yeah.
It'd be a nice little
package.
Nice little place for him. Yeah.
That would be a disgusting set of receivers. So yeah, I would also agree. I don't think he needs to go anywhere. I think LA is the place. Number 3 on this list is Zadarius Smith, who we've now seen land at the Vikings, so we don't need to talk about that one. Jadeveon Clowney is ranked number 2 on this list. Edge rusher, was at the Browns.
You're in dire need of a pass rush.
We are.
But you've had him.
We have, and I wouldn't want him back either. I wouldn't want him back.
What about at Chiefs.
Yeah, I was going to say the Chiefs. All these teams, like for these aged players that are impact players, it's all the teams that need to get over the hill, isn't it, to get to the Super Bowl again?
Yeah, a player like him isn't going to the Giants. He's not going to the Jags. He's going to take a lesser deal and go and, do you know what I mean, destroy people's lives with JPP and Shaq Barrett.
Yeah,
do you know what
exactly.
I mean? Like, that's the kind of team he's going to go to, so they can rotate in the older guys that just fucking constantly go.
Yeah.
So maybe he's going to. I reckon it's more like the Chiefs, like a contender.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Broncos.
Yeah. The last one, I'm so surprised this guy's not been signed, and it's Teron Armstead, offensive tackle for the Saints. He's 31 years old. He's by far the best player that's available. Last week you said the Bengals, they've made a fair amount of moves on their offensive line now. I don't know whether you still stick them there or where.
No, I think ultimately he'll go back to the Saints.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, but he said he said he would have gone there if Deshaun Watson had gone there.
Right.
So he said that. I don't know, because everyone needs a good left tackle.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's so in demand. I'm so surprised that he's still
right
there.
Tackle.
I'm going to say the Seahawks, just because he's got enough left in his tank to be able to come to us. We've got money. We're not re-signing Dwayne Brown, who was our left tackle. We don't have one. We're probably not in the right position in the draft to get one of a high caliber. I don't see why not, especially if you're going to go down the route of like Baker Mayfield or whoever his name is. You're going to need to try and give them the most amount of time possible to throw the ball.
Yeah, if he's going to come to you, he's going to cost you. It'll cost you more than it would be to send him to the Broncos or whoever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he's going there for the money because he knows he's not going to win.
Yeah.
But I said that to you before, didn't I? That these are the kind of players you need to spend money on. You need to spend money on the offensive line, and throw in millions at him to start that process, and then you take the best available tackle or guard at your position and just start building for next year when you've got 2 first-round picks. You take your quarterback if you're not happy with Baker or Drew Lock or whoever you've got there, and you just start building because you've got the weapons, you've got the offensive weapons.
I agree. And I think as well, if you are Pete Carroll and you are this run first mantra and you think, well, this is always going to be the way we play, to be able to run the ball, you need a beastly offensive line. You've got to be physical at the line of scrimmage. You've got to be able to push people over, and Teron Armstead bullies people.
Yeah.
So, I'm wishful thinking. He's not coming to the Seahawks. He's going somewhere where he's going to win a Super Bowl, but, I'd send him there anyway.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's the list. Free agency frenzy was wild. It's still going to carry on going. And all of these moves are going to lead us into the draft, which I said earlier happens in around 3.5 weeks, which I'm sure you're looking forward to, Dave, with 2 first-round picks for the Giants.
Can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be nice. It is going to be nice. So we'll definitely talk about a little bit of that in the coming weeks and push another mock draft out there now that some gaps have been filled due to free agency before we get into the draft. And so that rounds up free agency frenzy in the End Zone UK. We will be coming to you soon with some back to basics training camp content. Me and Dave just need to find times in our calendars to be able to get in front of that camera and bring that all to you, but we will find a way. But until then, thank you for listening. Much appreciated. Keep eyes on our Instagram page. Subscribe, follow, like, share in the End Zone UK. Thanks for listening and enjoy.
Potatoes.